People that hated him wanted him to stay in.
You can't win.
And the people, you know, for example, he did make the decision to leave the capital in Tel Aviv.
He might as well stay loyal to his following then.
Well, that's what he's done.
It's going to be criticized either way. So we asked you as well what you thought about the move yesterday and his speech.
Because we care more about your tweets than celebrity tweets.
So your comments have been pouring in. This is Amy on Twitter. She says, I saw it. Awesome speech. Sound resounding, resonating. This is our man, America first.
And Ed on Twitter says, great move, Mr. President. Let China and India pay for their own modernization. No one paid us when we were making the transition. Ignore the Democrats.
And Jeff says the president simply approached the accord like a businessman. When it comes to investing in other countries' environmental programs, the U.S. citizens were not getting a good return on the investment because we're supposed to be writing checks to developing nations.
Yes.
Who knows if there'll be any follow-up? This only would increase its pressure on us. And I'm not saying we shouldn't. For those who have a lot, you should distribute. We have foreign aid. The president does not like the way we give out. He thinks we give out way too much foreign aid.
We forget about how he looks at the world like a businessman. Really. We've had politician after politician after politician. He says, bad deal. I want the free market to be unleashed here. It already is being unleashed. Let's let that help us improve our economy.
So he says, look, I'll do a deal, but I want to do a better deal. And France and Germany came back and says, we're not, and Italy, we're not doing another deal. This deal stands. You're out.
Yeah, well, because not everyone benefits from that.
Right.
Peace. See you later.
All right, now to Fox News alert. Well, U.S. leader the Trump administration asking the Supreme Court to revive the controversial travel halt, they're calling it.
If it passed, it would overrule lower courts' decisions to block the order, barring entry for people from 6 Muslim-majority countries.
Griff Jenkins is live for us in our nation's capital with those breaking details. Griff, good morning.
Good morning, guys. The administration is expressing confidence as they ask the Supreme Court to reinstate that travel ban, freezing lower courts' decisions to block it. The Justice Department argues in their filing late last night that the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond made several mistakes in their ruling, stressing this order makes the nation safer if it's in place. The order halts new visas from being issued from people in 6 Muslim-majority countries. They are Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. President Trump initially signed the executive order in January, but immediately faced backlash with protests erupting across the country and federal judges blocking it. Then in March, the president issued a narrower order, which was again blocked by federal courts, and Hawaii filed a new lawsuit against the order. The ACLU lashing out on Twitter last night, writing, "We've beat this hateful ban and are ready to do it again. Hashtag no Muslim ban ever." But Justice Department spokeswoman Sarah Isgur Flores defended it, saying, quote, "The president is not required to admit people from countries that sponsor or shelter terrorism until he determines that they can be properly vetted and do not pose a security risk to the United States." Guys, there's no timeline on when the court will rule. It will be interesting to see whether it will be decided by one justice or referred to the full court for a vote, which would take 5 votes to be reinstated.
Yeah. At least he has his attorney general in place, and everyone else, or his legal team writing it, was the president kind of drafting it in the White House to begin with.
Yeah, finally.
All right,
thank you.
Ready to fight it. Yep.
All right, let's toss over to Jillian for some other headlines this morning.
Good Friday morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's get right to a Fox News alert. Defense Secretary James Mattis landing in Singapore. He's meeting with diplomats from South Korea, Japan, and Australia for a key defense summit. The leaders will discuss North Korea's growing nuclear threat, as well as America's security goals under President Trump. This is his second trip to the region since taking charge of the Pentagon. Terrifying new video of a plane that's packed with passengers. Take a look. Catching fire mid-air. Flames shooting out of the engine after the United Airlines flight hits a flock of birds. Pilots forced to turn back to Chicago O'Hare Airport just moments after takeoff. Passengers landing safely in Miami on a new plane. Just a quick look at your headlines. I'll see you guys in a little bit.
All right, Jillian.
Thank you, Jillian.
Okay, concert coming up. Meanwhile, 13 minutes after the hour.
That's right. President Trump fulfilling another campaign promise by pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement. And our next guest calls it a brilliant moment you won't want to miss. Katie Hopkins.
President Trump fulfilling a major campaign promise, pulling the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. And our next guest says that she saw climate change scaremongering to secure grants. DailyMail.com global columnist Katie Hopkins is live for us in London. Katie, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
All right, so if you watch any other network this morning, we have lost our leadership on the world stage. What do you say?
It's absolutely nonsense. I can't believe these guys are buying into this kind of furor that this is the destruction of the planet, that we're lost forever, that global warming is going to incinerate all of us. The real question we should be putting out there to the public is, does the United States want to spend billions of dollars for developing countries to sign up to nothing that obligates them to reducing global warming? There is no other explanation for it but that. All the United States is doing with the Paris Accord is signing away billions of dollars to developing countries that create most of the emissions. And actually, those countries, there is no binding agreement. The Paris Accord is just kind of a trust document. It's an honesty document. True leadership is what Trump is doing right now. He's standing up, he's calling out the Paris Accord as a bad deal. And all that really was a bunch of global leaders bidding against themselves to try and get signatures from the developing countries. The minute they went in that room to sign that, they knew they were signing it. It's an absolute fraud. Trump's done the right thing.
Well, you have seen the scaremongering when it comes to climate change in action. You've been in similar meetings like this. Help people understand what's really going on behind closed doors.
Yes, unfortunately for my good self and against my better judgment, I did work in the public sector for a while at the UK Meteorological Office, the major Met Office, the weather people. I was selling climate change to the traders in the futures departments to hedge their bets. I have seen scientists virtually on their knees begging for grants from the EU, grants from these kind of climate change funds that you guys are supposed to be paying into. I have seen them scaremongering. I have seen them using data in interesting ways to make the problem seem worse in order to secure funding, in order to secure their jobs. It's a cyclical thing. They're all buying into it. The right thing to do if you're liberal is condemn Trump. What we should be saying is Trump has shown true leadership. Trump is calling out the Paris Accord as a complete fraud, and Trump is determined to make America great again. People should be stopping dressing as polar bears and backing President Trump.
All right, Katie Hopkins, we're going to have to leave it right there. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Of course.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, well, as Democrats exhaust their Russia narrative, are they missing the biggest story of all? Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, will weigh in on the headline that no one else is talking about this morning. Plus, Hillary Clinton piling on the excuses for why she lost.
Go to Netflix, from the New York Times, Facebook, 1,000 Russian agents, Trump's Twitter account, the Democratic Party.
We've heard it all. So with all of these excuses, is it time for the Democratic Party to distance themselves from Hillary Clinton? We are going to debate that next.
Welcome back. We've got some news by the numbers for you this morning. First, 36,000. That's how many Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks are being recalled. The company says 2016 and 2017 models with V6 engines can stall without warning. Not too good. Next, 18 hours. That's the length of United Airlines' new flight from Los Angeles to Singapore. The 8,700-mile nonstop journey, and it really is a journey, will be the longest flight from the U.S. to anywhere in the world. Wow. And finally, $12.9 billion. That's the price tag for the Navy's new aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford. What a beauty. The world's most advanced warship is the first new design aircraft carrier delivered to the Navy since 1975. Let's hope we see a few more. Brian, over to you.
All right, thanks, Pete. Hillary Clinton going out on an excuses tour this week, talking about her election loss.
I take responsibility for every decision I made, but that's not why I lost.
Right. So what exactly were the reasons?
Go to Netflix, from the New York Times, Facebook, 1,000 Russian agents, Trump's Twitter account, the Democratic Party. It's very difficult, historically, to succeed a two-term president of your own party. Polling misogyny, women in the suburbs, Comey, WikiLeaks, voter suppression, fake news, all of that. And that's kind of what happened.
Exactly. With all these excuses, is it time for the Democrats to back away from her? And is this a good thing for the Republican Party? Here to debate this, former Director of Strategic Communications for Hillary Clinton, Adrienne Elrod. Adrienne, thank you for coming. And Fox News contributor and radio show talk show host Tammy Bruce. Hey. Adrienne, I'll start with you. Do you think that, what is behind Hillary Clinton's approach right now?
Well, look, first of all, she has certainly earned the right to go out there and speak about what she thinks happened in this election. and why the results did not turn out in her favor. But first of all, she was at a technology conference. When she was speaking at Recode, she was talking about the deficiencies in technology of the DNC and how we need to work together as a party to improve on our technologies. But at the end of the day, she has certainly earned her right.
The DNC came out, their tech department came out defending what they did and what they had. Of course, the Obama administration was called out for not doing enough and leading the DNC in the mess they're in. And now the CIA, NSA, and FBI were told, according to her, by her camp, look out, the Russians are hacking, and they did nothing. So she's blaming all sides, Tammy. I'm wondering what the approach is here, and does that help Republicans, being that the former nominee is so angry at her own party?
Well, look, we're not surprised, of course. The problem with Hillary Clinton's candidacy, really, she was one of the worst candidates, I think, in the modern age, was her inability to engage with the reality on the street. She was, of course, reserved and removed during the campaign itself. But look, Donald Trump may have just saved us from the disaster of the Paris Accord, but every time she does go on television, and has earned that right, of course, she reminds everyone of the first disaster he saved us from, which was her. As a feminist, as someone who worked on the Clinton campaign in '92, this is in a way heartbreaking, because this is a problem with girls watching and other women watching. A woman who says she's a leader but will not take responsibility for what has gone wrong. Part of leadership is taking responsibility for the successes, but also for when things go wrong, so you can learn from them. So when it comes down to your question about good for the Republicans, clearly none of the Democrats have learned from what happened last year. They will never, I don't think they'll ever accept it. And so in that way, it'll be good for the Republicans. But this is a systemic problem as well, not just Hillary, but other Republicans who are not engaging or accepting the fact that Donald Trump's style is going to help get this nation off her knees. Right. It is different, and it's working.
What do you think about the fact that Joe Biden came out and had a negative thing to say about his campaign? You have Cory Booker trying to emerge, and Bernie Sanders, clearly the most popular. What do you think the right thing for Hillary Clinton to do for her party would be? This?
Well, look, I think, first of all, what she's doing is she started a new PAC that is putting her donor network to good use for the resistance and all the other organizations out there that are mobilizing Democrats for the midterm elections and for 2020. But, you know, again, I want to go back to something that Tammy just said. Hillary Clinton has owned this. She has certainly admitted that she had deficiencies that contributed ultimately to the loss, but she's also making it very clear that outside factors, such as the Russian influence in the elections, WikiLeaks, changed a lot of voters' minds at the last minute.
But here's what I will remind you. She is doing exactly what she accused Donald Trump of potentially doing if he lost. It was complete projection. It was she is refusing to accept the nature of what the American people have chosen, because our families matter, our future matters. And this was about recognizing leadership. And every day we've learned that that was the right decision in November.
She is alienating some Democrats, Adrian, but I can definitely appreciate your point of view, especially if you're pulling for her and work for her. It's going to be very interesting to see who emerges. Adrian Elrod, thanks so much. Tammy Bruce, great job.
Thanks, guys.
All right, coming up straight ahead, a new look at Tiger Woods' arrest.
Look directly. Watch, look. Directly into that tip until I tell you to stop.
Wow, I cannot believe we're seeing this video. We'll show you what happened next. As the media keep their focus on Russia, could they be missing the biggest story of all? The counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, is here. How do I know? I recognize her in the hallway. She is senior counselor to the President of the United States, and she's in studio. Kellyanne Conway, welcome back.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So around 3:20 yesterday, the world changed. Earth might not survive. The Paris Agreement is, we're walking away from that. The president made an announcement like he did on the campaign trail. The backlash has been worldwide. Or has it surprised you?
No, it hasn't surprised us at all. And I just hope that people listen to the full statement that the president made yesterday, because he did exactly what leaders do. He listened to many different insights, ideas, and inputs, weighed the consequences, and made his choice, as he always does. He is the president. He was elected to this job in large part because he promised to protect American jobs, American interests, American workers, and frankly, America.